Hello, 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 hello. You guys see the moniker. Our farmers. Trump screwed over the farmers in his first term. And they knew it then, just like they knew it now, like they know it now. And they just need to face what's going on because they made choices. So I've been watching what's happening to the American farmers, right? And that part I cannot understand is the part I can't understand is why they're acting so surprised because farmers already lived through this version under Donald Trump before in his first term. They already saw what happened when Trump decided tariffs were the answer to America's trade problems. They already saw this. They saw other countries retaliate. They saw agricultural markets get caught in the middle. They saw billions of dollars in exports disappear, and they watched the federal government have to step in with billions of dollars to help farmers survive the consequences. So when I hear farmers today talking about how difficult things are, why y'all don't feel sorry for me, this is the getting online trying to sell their beef, getting on TikTok and all them other places. I absolutely understand why you're angry and worried, but I don't understand how you or anybody that's in the farming department or in the farming industry can claim that there was no warning that this would happen, because you knew it was going to happen because he did it before. That is why my point today is not that farmers deserve what's happening to them, because they don't. I don't want anybody losing a farm that has been in their family for 3 generations. And I don't want American agriculture weakened because politicians in Washington want to prove how tough they are. I don't want that. My point is that we already had Trump's first administration to look at before deciding whether doing this again was worth it. Okay? We did. We weren't guessing. Us Democrats weren't guessing about what tariffs would do to agriculture because we had already seen what the tariffs and retaliation did the first time. We knew as soon as he said tariffs on this, that, and the third, we knew it was going to be a disaster. Democrats have been hollering, Kamala Harris had been hollering about the disaster of these tariffs in the first term at the podium when they were debating. So when Trump started his trade war during his first administration, right, his argument was straightforward. America was being taken advantage of. Bullshit. That's bullshit. Because Canada and America didn't even have no tariffs against each other. They were a free trading partner. How you going to put tariffs on a free trading partner? That's just arrogance all the way across the board, okay? He said we were being taken advantage of. China wasn't playing fair. Tariffs would give the United States leverage to negotiate better trade agreements. Where is that happening at? When? Where is that happening at? A lot of people in these rural American communities believed him. And I can understand why the message appealed to farmers who had to watch American industries and jobs move overseas for decades. The problem was that the tariffs don't exist in a vacuum. When the United States taxes another country's products, that country can turn around and retaliate against American products. And China understood exactly where it could apply political and economic pressure to the United States. American agriculture became one of those targets from China. That mattered tremendously, right? Because China wasn't some little customer buying a few bushels of soybeans every now and then. China was an enormous market for American agricultural products, particularly soybean. Farmers had already purchased seed, fertilizer, equipment, and they had already borrowed the money, and they had already planted crops based on the markets they expected to exist when those crops got harvested. A farmer cannot hear in July that China has retaliated against American soybeans and go outside the next morning and replace an entire field with something else. The crop is already in the ground, and much of the money has already been spent. So when China retaliated against American agricultural products, farmers found themselves caught in a political fight they did not personally start, but nevertheless had to pay for. That ain't my interpretation of what happened, okay? We actually have government research showing us the size of the damage that happened. Let me show you this article. Retaliatory tariffs reduce U.S. states' exports of agricultural commodities. Okay. I'm reading from my article. 2018, United States imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from major trading partners and separate tariffs on imports to China. 6 trading partners imposed retaliatory tariffs. Canada, China, the European Union, including United Kingdom, India, Mexico, and Turkey, imposed retaliatory tariffs on many U.S. exports. This was in 2018, including a wide range of agricultural and food products. Across all commodities and states, annual U.S. losses from retaliatory tariffs were estimated to be $13.2 billion. Losses from retaliatory tariffs were concentrated among Midwestern states with the biggest farms, the biggest losses among producers of soybean, sorghum, and pork. Now I want you to look at this because these aren't numbers coming from me. All them numbers ain't coming from me. Democrats, or it's not coming from Democrats and no anti-Trump organization. This is research from the United States Department of Agriculture. USDA researchers estimated that retaliatory tariffs imposed by China and 5 other trading partners resulted in more than $27 billion in lost American agricultural exports from the middle of 2018 through the end of 2019. And nearly $26 billion of those losses were associated with China's retaliatory tariffs alone. The USDA also found that China's retaliatory tariffs produced a 76% reduction in the value of affected U.S. agricultural exports to China. That is what I mean when I say farmers already had a warning about what was going on. They knew what time it was. More than $27 billion in agricultural export losses is not some little inconvenience that everybody should forget about in 2018 and 2019. Those numbers represent actual products American farmers expected to sell and actual markets that became more difficult to reach because another country retaliated against United States tariffs. Soybean farmers were particularly exposed to that. Before those retaliatory tariffs, USDA says approximately 30% of the soybeans produced in the United States went to China. 30%. Think about what that means from the perspective of somebody actually running a farm. If nearly 1/3 of the production of your soybean is going to another country and suddenly a trade war makes your product less competitive in the market, you can't simply pretend that customer never mattered. China can turn to Brazil and other suppliers while the American farmer is still standing there with soybeans that have to be sold to somebody. That is when the federal government stepped in with their assistance back in 2018, 2019. And I want to make something clear about that because I don't blame farmers for taking government money. Welfare. Farmers take welfare. Farmers take welfare, okay? I don't blame farmers for taking government welfare when government policy contributed to the problem. If Washington disrupts your market, your business, and then offers you assistance to keep your farming or whatever open, you would be stupid not to take that assistance. My problem is when politicians point to that assistance as evidence that everything worked perfectly. That's the problem. If your economic policy helps create a situation where billions of dollars in emergency fund government assistance becomes necessary, the bailout is not proof that nobody got hurt. The need for the bailout is part of the evidence that people did get hurt. And Donald Trump's administration hurt farmers the last time around. So you would have been an idiot. You would have been an idiot if you're a farmer and you voted for Trump again. What made you think it was going to be different? We Democrats, we saw it a mile away. We tried to warn y'all, but you still voted for this person to come in to play. There are many facets of this country that president helped to ruin his last term. He just finished the job this term. He ruined a lot of markets. Okay. And the farmers should have known that. That should have been a lesson from the first term with these farmers. You can believe tariffs are sometimes useful. You can believe China needed to be confronted. You can even believe some short-term economic pain was justified to achieve a better long-term relationship. What you cannot reasonably do is pretend that American farmers weren't exposed to serious consequences when other countries retaliated, because we have the numbers to show that they were. Then Donald Trump ran for president again. And this is where my patience with you fucking farmers is run out. I done run out of patience with y'all. Trump did not hide the fact that tariffs are going to be a major part of his economic policy. He talked about tariffs constantly. He praised tariffs. He told American tariffs would bring in revenue. Fuck that. Ain't no revenue came in to help the American people. He told American tariffs would bring us leverage against other countries. So farmers didn't have to wonder whether Trump might return to his aggressive tariff strategy. They knew up front. What you get is what you paid for. What you get is what you voted for. Deal with what you voted for. He told everybody that that was what he intended to do. So you farmers and anybody related to farming, you knew what time it was when Trump got hired again, when you decided you were going to vote for Trump. Many farmers didn't know exactly how large every tariff would be, and maybe they didn't know which countries would retaliate or exactly which agricultural products would be affected. Nobody can predict every detail of a trade dispute. They can't do that. But the general danger, the general understanding that he was going to put tariffs into place, that was already known because farmers had lived through it before, the first term. Tariffs can lead to retaliation. What did you think? You thought he was going to put 20% tariffs on China and China wasn't going to put 20% tariffs back on them? Did you think the other countries were scared of the United States? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Okay, you didn't think it was going to lead to this kind of retaliation. Look at what's happening with the beef right now. Are y'all crazy? Retaliation can target American agriculture. Export opportunities can disappear. Farmers can end up needing Washington money to cover all of them losses. And guess what? Here we are again, giving y'all motherfucking farmers bailouts, welfare money yet again. Then Trump returned to office right along on schedule with you goofies who put him in. Trade tensions escalated again. Look at what's happening with China again. Look what he bringing other people's beef in again. China again reduced purchases of American agricultural products during this dispute. And suddenly we find ourselves talking about another enormous federal assistance package for you farmers, which is probably what they're going to be doing this time too. Let me show you this other article. This is wild. It's wild, the shit that goes on, and people just pretend like they don't understand what's going on. Listen to it. Trump unveils a $12 billion aid package for farmers hit by the trade war. Surprise, surprise. 11 billion aid for row crop farmers, 1 billion for other crops. Farmers face higher costs, seek aid for seeds and fertilizer. The Trump administration plans to cut farm machinery costs by reducing regulations. Wow. That's goofy as hell. This is where I need people to understand. Hold on. Put that back on the screen. This is where I need people to understand and remember what happened the first time. Because in December 2025, Trump announced this $12 billion economic assistance for American farmers. Last year, y'all didn't know jack shit about him importing beef from another country. And these ain't even beef. This is scrap from other countries. He giving y'all scrap from other countries. You know, he trying to sell us beef scraps from other countries. That just happened this freaking 2 weeks. Last year, he knew he was going to screw y'all over in December. That's why he got this aid package started. Trump unveils a $12 billion aid package for farmers because he knew he was going to start fucking y'all over this summer. Farm organizations and Republican lawmakers from agricultural states have been asking you to help farmers struggling with expenses and lost billions in dollars in soybean sales to China while trade negotiations stalled. Now they finna bring in more beef from other countries. Reuters reported that China had turned to South American suppliers during that period. So 2 days after this announcement in December, Reuters talked directly with farmers. agricultural groups, economists, and bankers, and the message was that $12 billion wouldn't fully cover what farmers were losing. You think that $12 billion gonna cover the scraps that he getting from these other countries that he won't tell us where he got these scraps from? The assistance back then was described as something that could help farmers get through another planting season, not something that magically repaired the farm economy. That's wild. Now, explain to me how we're supposed to look at this and not recognize the similarity from the last Trump administration. During Trump's first term, the country got into a trade fight. Agricultural exports were hit by retaliatory tariffs. Farmers suffered losses, and Washington provided billions in assistance back then. Trump returns to office. We get another trade confrontation. Farmers again lose export opportunities, and Washington announces another $12 billion package. That doesn't mean the two periods are identical. They're not, because they just not. It's different products, I guess. Beef, soybean, whatever. And I don't need to pretend that I don't pretend that they're making the same point. Agriculture is affected by far more than tariffs. Commodity prices, weather matters, interest rate matters, fertilizer price matters, fuel cost matters, wars matter, global supply conditions matter. But when the same rich group of people find themselves wanting to shell out billions of dollars in federal aid, while another trade dispute is affecting its export markets, it's pretty reasonable to ask why the lesson from the first administration wasn't taken more seriously. Why y'all didn't take them seriously? Why y'all didn't understand what was going on with your people? And there's another part of this that people need to understand. Once an international customer finds another supplier, China fined Brazil. China went to Brazil. Once another international customer finds another supplier, getting that customer back is not necessarily easy as removing the tariffs. If China needs soybeans and buying American soybeans becomes more expensive or politically uncertain, Brazil is perfectly capable of selling soybeans. China don't have to sit around hungry, waiting for Washington or Trump or to settle their argument. They just go somewhere else. Other countries would be delighted to take some of America's market share. This is why I keep coming back to the same question. If you already knew talking to the farmers, if you already knew agriculture could become collateral damage in a trade war, why would you assume the second time would automatically be different? Now, I also want to be fair about where these farmers are today, because tariffs are not the only problem hurting American agriculture. Farmers have been dealing with low commodity prices and rising production costs, and some of those costs have become substantially worse because of events that had nothing to do with China. Fuel, fertilizer, all these things are expensive commodities for a farming operation. And when those costs rise while crop prices remain weak and slow down, farmers can produce a perfectly respectable crop and still struggle to make money. In fact, the Trump administration is continuing looking for additional ways to support those farmers. In June, Trump said, we're going to give them $11 billion in additional farm assistance. On top of the $12 billion he said in December. Reuters reported that the farm economy was struggling with high production costs and low crop prices that had worsened because of Trump's trade war policies and the Iran war. Wow. And that brings us to what's happening right now, because farmers aren't merely complaining about something that happened during the Trump administration, his first administration, or even something that happened last year. Farmers are warning, or farming organizations, I guess, people, watchdogs, or whatever you call those people, are warning the Trump administration today about another policy they believe could hurt the farming markets. Look at this article right here. Let me show you another article. This is wild. I get it. I do. U.S. officials weigh plans to shield farmers from expansion of refinery Biofuel waivers. Farm and biofuel groups urge Trump to limit exemptions, warning they will weaken biofuel demand. Administration is considering roughly doubling exemptions to it as much as 1.8 billion credits. Republicans use Senator Ernst of Iowa calls plan handout to big oil. Wow. This article right here is from today, August 2027, right? August 27. And it's important because it shows that farmers are still fighting over decisions coming out of this administration. Reuters reports the Trump administration is considering expanding exemptions that allow some small oil refineries to avoid certain federal biofuel blending requirements. Farm and biofuel organizations are warning that Trump's significant expansion of those exemptions could reduce demand for renewable fuels and as a result, hurt demand for corn and soybean oil. This administration has not made a final decision, and I get that. And I want to emphasize that because I'm not going to accuse Trump of doing something that hasn't happened yet, right? Administration officials are actually considering increasing future biofuel quotas, okay? This is going to hurt our farmers yet again. This is much more complicated story than simply saying Trump woke up this morning and decided to screw over farmers, because that is not what happened. The administration is trying to deal with gasoline prices while balancing the interests of oil refineries, consumers, biofuel producers, and farmers. But that's precisely why policy matters. When politicians make decisions in one part of the economy, somebody else can end up paying for them, and farmers are once again telling this administration that they are worried that they will be the ones paying. And you're going to be the ones paying. This ain't the first time that the Trump administration and the farmers have fought over refining exemptions. Reuters points out that the same issue became extremely contentious during his first administration, when farmers and ethanol producers opposed broad refinery exemptions because they believe those exemptions damaged demand for biofuels. So here we go again. We have something from the first Trump administration returning during the second Trump administration, and farmers are once again getting screwed over because they're going to be on the losing side. This is why I chose the title, Farmers Didn't Learn from the First Term. I'm not saying every farmer voted for Trump, because they didn't. And I'm not saying farmers are stupid. Rural voters make political decisions for the same complicated reason everybody else do, right? A farmer may vote based on immigration, guns, abortion, taxes, religion, you name it. It has nothing to do with soybeans or anything else, right? Some farmers genuinely believe Trump's broader economic policies will ultimately be better for the country. Where? Somebody explain to me what decision that Trump made that has made this country better. Every decision has been catastrophic to every section of this United States. Every decision that he has made has been catastrophic in one way or the other for people around this country. They made the political calculation. Farmers made that political calculation. But if you make that calculation, you also have to own the risk of making that calculation. You can't support an aggressive tariff policy and then act as though retaliation was an unimaginable event nobody could possibly have anticipated. Stop that. Farmers all over TikTok, all over Facebook, all over this internet talking about, woe is me. You can't get mad at me because I voted for Trump. Yes, we can. We can tell you to go fuck off because you knew what happened the first time. You knew what happened the first time. We had the USA research documenting more than $27 billion in agricultural export losses associated with those retaliatory tariffs during the first trade war. We had billions of dollars in government assistance during that time. They gave y'all governmental assistance because they fucked over y'all that first time. Then Trump returned promising tariffs again. And by the end of his first year back in office, we were talking about another $12 billion agricultural assistance package. At the end of his first year, we was back here talking about giving y'all handouts because y'all was getting screwed over. That is what makes the political conversation around this so frustrating with y'all. We spend an enormous amount of time listening to politicians tell us what their policies are supposed to accomplish, when eventually we have to start looking at what those policies actually produced. Those policies actually screwed over you farmers. And this ain't no Trump policy. This is a Republican policy, because the Republicans are going right along with it. It's their policy. Let's not blame Trump. Republicans sat there and let Trump screw y'all over. They could have stopped Trump, but they didn't. So this is a Republican failure. If the argument is that short-term losses are necessary for long-term gain, then you farmers need to know exactly how much short-term pain is going to get to the long-term benefits of it, because nobody seems to understand where they're at. How is importing other scraps of beef from other countries helping y'all? How is it? I don't understand how that's helping y'all. Don't pretend the pain doesn't exist simply because acknowledging it makes the policy harder to sell. And I particularly dislike the phrase short-term pain when politicians use it casually, because the person describing the pain as short-term usually ain't the person trying to make the equipment payment or the payments on the farm. A politician can wait several years for an economic strategy to produce results. A farmer's bank account may not be willing to wait several years. Fertilizing suppliers don't wait years. Equipment lenders don't wait years. Farmer has bills due, while Washington is still arguing about whether the strategy is working. This is why I also don't criticize farmers for accepting government assistance. If federal policy contributes to your financial losses and Congress or the administration creates a legal program to help you survive, take the money. My criticism is directed at the political hypocrisy surrounding that money. All you hear all day long, they always want free money. Them poor people always want free money. Should we be saying that same thing to you farmers? Seeing as how y'all took free money last time? Seeing as how y'all been floating, y'all farmers been floating on that free money since Trump did it the first time? So y'all believe in getting EBT and all that free money and all that free food stamps and all that, just like the poor people. The hypocrisy is crazy. Okay, we spend years hearing politicians talk about government dependency as though needing help financially means you're irresponsible in your choices. You hear that all the time. And then when an entire industry, the farming industry, when an entire industry gets hammered by forces beyond its control, everybody suddenly understands why government assistance sometimes become necessary. You understand that the farmers need help, but you don't understand when poor people need help. Fuck out of here. You understand when the farmers need help, but you don't understand when poor people need help. Fuck out of here. Maybe the lesson should extend beyond those farmers. A factory worker who gets laid off because a plant closes ain't automatically lazy, and they need food stamps. A family that needs temporary food stamps ain't automatically irresponsible. A farmer who needs agricultural assistance because an export market collapsed ain't automatically a bad business person. Sometimes enormous economic forces hit ordinary people who have very little control over those, and sometimes government steps in because allowing those people to collapse will make the entire country worse off. Y'all need to grow up. Some of y'all really need to grow up when you hear people talking about EBT queens and EBT help. American agriculture is absolutely worth protecting. I don't want family farms disappearing. I don't want Americans to become dependent on foreign countries for food. I don't want rural communities hollowed out because farming becomes financially impossible for everybody except enormous corporations. I don't want that. Farmers are not my enemy in this argument. In fact, protecting farmers is exactly why I think we should be willing to scrutinize policies that repeatedly put them in vulnerable positions. The Trump administration's stance on tariffs continue to put farmers in vulnerable positions, put them in peril every time this administration is in power. What I refuse to do is pretend that history didn't matter. We watched the Trump administration engage in a major trade confrontation. We watched other countries retaliate. USDA later calculated more than $27 billion in lost agricultural exports. We watched the government provide billions in assistance. Then Trump came back to office openly promising another aggressive tariff agenda. Trade conflict returned. Farmers again lost export opportunities, and Washington again responded with billions of dollars in agricultural support. Today, farmers farm organizations are once again warning the Trump's administration that another policy decision could hurt demand for corn and soybean. What is this? They important scraps of beef. Ain't that fucking over farmers again? Sooner or later, the lesson will happen. You can only get your ass beat so many times before you get the lesson. You don't understand the lesson now? Y'all don't understand that these Republican policies are fucking over farmers? Farmers have every right to support Donald Trump. I get it. They have every right to believe tariffs will eventually produce something worth the cost. They have every right to decide the immigration, taxes, regulation, or any other issue matters more to them when they vote. And I still don't seem to understand why you motherfuckers, farmers, voted to get all of your immigration people up off the land. All your people who work the land. How you gonna vote for somebody who gonna take all your workers away? That's like your own self-interest getting fucked over. That's neither here nor there. You deserve how you got screwed over. But that's neither here nor there. Supporting these policies don't erase the consequences. That's all I'm saying. And it certainly don't erase what happened the first time. So when I hear a farmer say he's worried about keeping his farm, I have a little, just this much for you. But you screwed yourself over. When I hear that somebody's farm has worked the same land for hundreds of years and now they're afraid they're going to lose it, a little sympathy. Because you didn't have sympathy for the people that you were trying to punish. Because everything this president came in the office and said he was going to do was going to hurt somebody else. You just didn't think it was going to hurt you. God only knows why you didn't think it was going to hurt you. Okay. But when somebody tells me nobody could have seen this coming, when you farmers said, I didn't see this coming, that is where my sympathy is cut off. My memory kicks in because we didn't need a crystal ball to know that tariffs could bring retaliation. We Democrats told y'all, you're going to get screwed over. More than black and brown people going to get screwed over. That was the whole point. Donald Trump got in office to screw over black and brown people. Instead, a lot of y'all white-skinned people getting fucked over too. We told you this was going to happen. We didn't need an economist to tell us China might target American agriculture. We didn't need somebody on television to explain that losing a major export customer could hurt the farmers. We knew that. We already watched it happen the first time. First Trump administration gave farmers the warning. The USDA gave us the numbers. The bailout gave us the receipt. Then America decided to run the experiment again. They decided they were going to hire somebody again who going to fuck over American products, fuck over American farmers, fuck over American people as a whole. That is why I keep coming back to the same conclusion. You farmers didn't need to predict Trump's second term. You just need to remember his first one. And his first one meant you got fucked over. Now you're getting fucked over now. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So y'all got a rocky road going. You got a rocky road going, farmers. You sure do. Hello, Ronaldo, 23-9-27. Hello. Yeah, Stud Medi, I am trans. I'm trans all day. Hey, Poppy Blanco. Love from Chicago. Andrew, thank you. Hi, I'm doing good, hon. I'm doing good. Yeah, this wild. The farmers decided they were gonna fuck themselves over. Ain't nothing to be said. Okay. Tariff money was returned to corporate. No, the tariff money ain't returned to corporations. Them corporations got to fight to get that money back. They got to fight to get their money back. That's crazy. That's wild. Create the problem and try to, that's it. Create the problem and try to solve it through policy. That's exactly what the Republicans did. Exactly what they did. They created the problem and then try to fix it without anybody noticing. Yes, exactly. Who knew that 13 of the 40 trillion from our leaders could be a possibility and we couldn't count on the art of the deal, Arthur, to pull us from there? That's wild. That's wild. It's not saying they are actually working people putting in and helping the economy. Nobody said anything. I don't understand what you're saying this for. That don't even make sense. Of course, we understand the farmers are doing that. But farmers decided they were going to vote for Donald Trump when Donald Trump screwed them over the first time. They got screwed over by Donald Trump the first time. That's not our fault. You're just either retarded or you dumb. You just didn't get it. Okay. You are supposed to vote for your interest, not everybody, not 1,000 Not when you're a farmer, you have to vote for the collective. You can't just vote for you. Well, I think he gonna help me. No, he's got to help your neighbor, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, all of them people. You got to figure out the long term. It's like you Republicans don't understand the long term game. You thought, oh, okay, let's hurt the black and brown people by voting for Donald Trump so he can get them out the country. And then all y'all got screwed too. Argentina beef industry is looking at China. We don't know where that beef is coming. We don't know where them scraps is coming from. That's the problem. We don't know where they coming from. They could be coming from Argentina. They can be coming from a third world country. We don't know where it's coming from. And he ain't saying because he don't want to say. Because he would have said Argentina if it was Argentina, but he don't want to say where they coming from. Those are the people that people are talking about. We're talking about the people who are on welfare for 20, 30 years. This neither here nor there. They've been on welfare for 10 years. These farmers, stop it, Black America. West Virginians are among the most affected by the make. Hey, West Virginians keep voting for Trump. They keep voting for Republican policies that screw them over. Then they deserve to get screwed over. They deserve to get screwed over. If you keep getting screwed over, why would you keep voting for the same bullshit? I don't know. Hopefully people got the agenda. Hopefully people understand what's going on in this country. This would not have gotten as bad as it got if the people wouldn't allow Trump to do this bullshit that he's doing. This country never would have got to this point if people wouldn't allow the president to continue doing what he's doing. It is what it is. So now they got to ride it out. And that includes the farmers. And they screwed themselves. You screwed yourself on. You screwed the pooch on this one. Nobody told you to go in that booth and say, hey, I don't want to go for a different direction. I just want to go for the same direction and get screwed over the same way. It was what it was. And we all got to live with it. Please hit the like and the subscribe. I appreciate it. I have content like this every day. I will be back to Saturday morning. Yeah, it'll probably be Saturday morning with another show. Because it definitely won't be tomorrow. Or maybe it might be tomorrow morning. I don't know. But please hit the like and the subscribe. I appreciate it. And see you in the next video. I appreciate you. I definitely do.